Well, hello there. We're back, and so are you. And if you're not back and you're here for the first time, welcome to Bloom Talks. I'm Charlie Bloom.
Linda Bloom here.
And we're here today to talk about disclosure. And disclosure means pretty much exactly what it says. Closure is when you close something up, or maybe get complete with something, and disclosure is unclosing it or opening. So we're gonna talk today about what disclosure means in terms of relationships, and really looking at some of what kind of a difference it can make in a relationship when two people share a commitment to conceal, to reveal rather than to conceal, and to be open with each other. So probably you're familiar with the term disclosure in the context of what we sometimes hear in the media about full disclosure, which generally refers to an acknowledgement that there could be a conflict of interest that somebody has when they're reporting on an issue. Maybe their radio station has stock in a certain company that is being reported on. So full disclosure in that sense is not the same thing that we're going to be talking about today. We're talking about a kind of transparency and openness that really promotes deep, connecting, honest, and intimate relationships. So we'll be also looking at some of the things that promote disclosure and some of the reasons maybe that we may be reluctant to practice it.
So when we have people outreach to us, whether they want information about attending one of our classes, or they want to purchase one of our books, or they want to come to us for counseling, usually what is motivating them is that they want to lift their relationship up to a higher level of well-being. And one of the things that we always speak to people about when they come for counseling and when they come to our workshops, and we do this in our books and blogs too, is that having an agreement with your partner that you are committed to being transparent and open with them is a very direct avenue to lifting your relationship up into the higher realms. Now, do people have fears and trepidations about doing that? You betcha, because we're all members of the Scar clan, and there are good reasons why we have adopted an image to put on and to not disclose, because if you've lived long enough and made it to adulthood, you don't even have to have made it to midlife, just made it to being adult. You've had a series of incidents that have harmed you, where you've been open about what you're feeling, that you've been open about your opinion about something, that you've been open about expressing your needs. And you've gotten vulnerable, sometimes with a person who really means a lot to you, and you got shot down, or you got made wrong, or you were judged or criticized in some way, shut up, maybe even humiliated. Do you understand that there are good reasons why we would be reticent to expose more of our inner life and our vulnerability? And believe me, if I had a way to tell you the safe way to get to the higher levels of relationship without risking, I would tell you. But I don't know any way except to make a contract with your partner or whoever is dear to you, maybe a dear friend that you want to lift the relationship into the higher realm, is that you're committed to being honest and an open, revealing much more, much, much more than concealing. And that's the surefire way to heal from some of the wounds from our past, to have corrective experiences, that we're going to do it in a responsible way, that when people bring difficult information, very private information, and we're gifted with that specialness to be an intimate and a confidant, that we're going to hold that as the gift that it is that they're bringing to us.
So a lot of us, like Linda said, come from backgrounds in which disclosure in the family wasn't practiced. There may have been a lot of talk, but it may not have been of the variety that reveals something about one's inner self. And that's really the kind of disclosure that we're talking about. It's not so much talking about other things, but it's being conscious enough to be self-reflecting and aware of what it is that I'm experiencing in the moment. It's not about confessing sins from the past necessarily, unless the past is something that you're communicating about that requires a certain level of honesty. But we're talking about being able to be aware of what my inner experience is, what my thoughts are, my feelings, my needs, my desires, hopes, concerns, fears, longings. I mean, the full catastrophe, everything. And it doesn't mean that we necessarily our relationship is characterized by an ongoing, continual expression of those inner feelings. But it means that I have developed access to my inner world, and that's something that I can bring forth and share with my partner during those times when it's appropriate to do so, which is, basically whenever it is that I'm seeking to create some understanding in the relationship about something, a desire to be aware of where we both are in order to make mutual decisions about where to go, about what my priorities are, to find out what my partner's needs are at the time. It's something that really gives us access to our inner experience and enables us to get clear about where my partner is too. And if we come from a background in which disclosure wasn't practiced, wasn't modeled, in fact, might have been actually actively discouraged or punished even, then we're going to be reluctant. And like Linda said, we're all members of the Scar clan, meaning, we come into the world just if you notice a small child or a baby, they can't help but express what's there for them. Even if they don't have language, you can, they communicate it because it's hardwired into us to express, which is to press out that which is within. But we learn, in the process of being socialized, that some things get one kind of a response, and another aspect of what we communicate can get a different kind of response. And we become very skilled at discerning what will be pleasing to other people, what will bring about a positive, pleasant response, and what could get us in trouble, what could cause anger, what could cause punishment, what is permissible and what isn't, what is on the table and what we don't talk about here. And it's also very likely that people who tend to be on one side of the spectrum tend to be inclined to be more open and expressive and to disclose their inner experience, often find themselves with people on the other side of the spectrum. So you want to talk a little bit about how to deal with that one?
Yes, there's always going to be one in the pair that's going to be a bit more private, and they're going to be reluctant to share their inner life. They may be a very contained system, and the stretch for the people who really have a lot of uneasiness about sharing their inner life it is important, if we're partnered with somebody like that, to acknowledge them like mad when they do risk bringing more to us, and to be the example, to be how we would like them to participate with us, because it might not be so easy for one in the pair. Now, it's possible that it might not be easy for two in the pair. So I'm not saying that one person's going to be really adept and let their image down and get vulnerable and be in touch with their inner life. Both people have a challenge, but the people who have a tendency to be on the more private side may need more reinforcement, may need more encouragement, may need more reassurance that when they bring that deep inner feelings of insecurity, fears, sadness, loneliness, the tender underbelly, that they will not be met with criticism and judgment, that they will be met with reinforcement that it is part of you, and I want to know everything about you. I want to know you fully, and I want you to know me. And I so appreciate that I'm a special person in your life, that I have been elected to be privileged to know these very tender parts of you.
So if you're on the side of the relationship with someone who is reticent about doing that, and you would like to have more deeper sharing in the relationship, two of the things that really can help is, number one, to reward your partner when they do come up with something that is genuine, that comes from their inner experience rather than just something more superficial. And I don't mean, like give a dog a bone, but I mean show your appreciation. Acknowledge that, wow, that's, I really appreciate your letting me in on that. That's really helpful for me to know you better. And I, thank you. I really appreciate that.
And here's something else I want to add. Do you know that if you can hold out the vision that you have, if you see how elegant and important this is, you may help them see your vision through your eyes. We're going to be closer. There's a lot in it for you. This isn't just for me. The trust is going to be stronger. We both will benefit so much if there aren't no-fly zones, if we don't have to walk on eggshells, if there are no taboo subjects, if we really know each other, both of us, deeply. Yeah.
So probably the best way to bring more of that authentic reality into your relationship is to lead by example.
Right.
And that is that if a lot of people who haven't really been exposed to a lot of authentic disclosure really don't even know what it looks like. And they may not really trust themselves to be able to express themselves adequately or in a way that feels safe to them. And so when we are willing to demonstrate through our own interaction, through our own behavior, our own participation in the relationship, being transparent, being open, that gives them an awareness of what it is that we're talking about. And it's something that, we can do at any time. And when we practice that, we can just asking your partner something as simple as, what are your thoughts on that? Or just a question that's designed to encourage them to look within and to self-reflect. What do you, how do you feel about that? Or, that's my take on it. What's yours? Those kinds of questions that aren't necessarily going to be experienced as pressuring the other person, but just to do it with a light touch can really help them to see that, this is, doesn't require, rocket scientists to be able to do this adequately. That this is something that we can all do. We all have access to the ability to be self-expressive. And then the rewards begin to come in because there's a feeling of mutual understanding, a feeling of trust that gets more fully developed, feeling of safety. And so as we continue to practice that with each other, it becomes integrated into the relationship.
So when we teach our workshops, this is something that we offer. And it says reveal rather than conceal, express rather than repress, connect rather than protect, and accept rather than reject. This is all about being open rather than being more guarded. And sometimes people get really backed up when they see this guideline and they say, you don't know anything about my relationship. I wouldn't bring that subject up. Oh, it's going to be a rap to trouble if I were to bring that up. And I'm not saying that you can do this instantaneously. Maybe you won't do it this month. Maybe you won't do it next month. But we're stimulating the visionary in you that it is possible to get there eventually. And maybe there'll be many conversations about the less challenging subjects so that you build up to the more challenging subjects, because some of them are really gnarly, some of them are really sore, and we want to hold out the possibility that there would be nothing that you couldn't speak about. Eventually, maybe not right now, but to see it as something to strive towards, to hold it in your vision that even for us ordinary people, we can have an extraordinary co-creative partnership where both people feel so safe that they can be completely themselves, where they don't have to have any part of their feelings and their needs concealed. And that's really hitting the jackpot. That's really going for the gold. That's possible for us ordinary folks if we have a firm commitment to go there, a firm commitment on both sides that we will do everything in our power to become more transparent, which includes having an intimate relationship with ourselves, and that we regularly on a daily basis, maybe for many times during the day, check in to see what's going on with us so that we can disclose and to be able to have an intimate relationship with our partner, and that we have that level of sharing about the deep and meaningful heart-related parts, not just the superficial level.
So if you're seeing some real value here for you, wherever you are on the spectrum, as far as somebody who's very comfortable with this, does it all the time, or somebody who's more reluctant to practice, we want to encourage you when we're done with this video, this presentation in a few minutes, if you're with somebody, if you're watching it with somebody, or if there's somebody in the vicinity, a friend or somebody that you feel comfortable just trying this out with, practicing, see if you can agree to experiment with it. And one of the first things that a lot of people come up with when they first begin practicing or trying this out is, I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is disclosure. That's an example of it. Because what they're doing is they're revealing to you what it is that they are experiencing right now. I don't know what to say. Great. Well, thank you for letting me know that. I can relate to that. I've certainly been there, but just telling me that really helps me to get a sense of where you are right now. And then you might even want to ask them something like, so how is that for you when I ask you this question and then you feel that and then you hear me respond? What are you experiencing right now? And to really without prodding, without pushing, without pressuring, just to, from a place of interest and curiosity, to engage with each other in a way that creates more mutual understanding of where we both are.
And I just this morning finished reading a lovely book that I want to recommend, and it's called Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin. And he says that one of the keys to a really successful relationship is creating what he refers to as the couple bubble. And this bubble is just a container that the couple makes their relationship a very high priority, the well-being of their relationship a very high priority. They give time and attention to it on a regular basis, and they have agreements with each other that they don't have with other people in their life. And one of the agreements that they make is that I will share some very tender information with you that other people don't get to be privileged to. This is deep emotional intimacy. So in his way, he's talking about the same kind of a thing that we're talking about setting a standard of disclosure, no secrets, definitely no lies, but no withholds, because the things that we withhold from each other be very destructive. Some people don't put the withholds in the category of they can really rob the vitality from the relationship. So if you're going to make a safe container, what Tatkin calls the bubble, this is a very direct way of doing that. That you have a spoken agreement, that you have an intention to grow and learn from each other and with each other by disclosing what comes up in your experience about what you feel and what you need and what's working for you that you're rejoicing in and grateful for, and what doesn't work for you and that disappoints you, frustrates you, makes you feel sad. And so these edges to play about becoming more fully disclosing is going to take you, if you give it your best effort and invite your partner and invite them in by appealing to their enlightened self-interest. There's a lot at stake in a beneficial way in terms of payoffs for well-being. When we can feel deeply known by each other, we can feel I am loved as is, with my flaws. I got some neurotic things. I've got my beauty and my strong suit and my wonderfulness. And aren't we all a mixed bag? And to be loved as is quite fabulous.
So let me give you an example, live, real, right now, of disclosure. I want to disclose something that I am and have been experiencing for the last couple of minutes. And that is that when you started talking about no withholds, I got this concern.
Yes.
That, not that I'm in favor of withholds, but there was something in the way you were talking that felt almost a little dogmatic. And I got, in case you haven't figured it out yet, I'm the one who's been a little more reticent than Linda. She has always been very comfortable, well, most of the time, gushing out whatever it is that's there. And I've been much more circumspect and discerning about when, under what conditions, to whom I'm going to express. And I do believe that discernment is an important part of the process of disclosure. We're not saying to go ahead and share
not
this
everything
with everybody, not at all.
But even with your special person, not everything right away. You work towards it. And thank you for sharing that with me. Okay, I'm listening.
Let me disclose that. I don't want to be interrupted either. So, so the other thing I want to say is that when I was feeling that, I had some concern about people hearing what you were saying in a way that maybe may misunderstand that and might take it as a should rather than an opportunity, right? And then I started to feel, when are you going to be done? I want to say something here. So
I'd always save time for you, honey.
I know. But this is what we're talking. This is an example of what we're talking about. And see, often when we express something like that with a partner, I know that I can say things that might not be exactly what Linda wants to hear, but I also know that even if I do, she's going to not only be accepting of it without judging me most of the time, but she'll actually appreciate it.
Appreciation is here.
It's information. It's information that is coming from within me that is bringing more understanding and trust into the relationship. And she knows, and I know, that when we can share those things in a context of safety and acceptance, that brings more closeness, understanding, and intimacy into the relationship, even if it's something that's not so easy to hear.
Mm-hmm. So in the last couple minutes that we have, I want to make sure that you know that I appreciate your saying that. And I want to speak about why I feel so strongly about this and why I may have come on in a dogmatic way. And I totally respect that everybody has to make their own choices because they have to use have the consequences of bringing up the tough subjects. But I encourage people to have that kind of risky, open disclosure without the withholds. And it's real passionate in me because in my family, there was a lot of secrets and lies and a lot of withholds. And I saw how destructive it was. And I made a commitment that I was not going to follow in that lineage. And during the time when we were not disclosing as much to each other, our relationship was not thriving the way it does in recent years. And so I feel very strongly and very passionately about this. And if anybody out there felt like I came on too strong, I always want to say that you are the final authority about if and when, and harmlessness is the fine sieve to go through. Because sometimes speaking our truth can cause more harm than being more circumspect about it and waiting for another time, perhaps. Yeah? So we're wrapping up for today, and we're glad that you were here for this exploration with us. I hope that we've given you some grist for the mill to think about, maybe discuss with people you're close to in your life and see if you can have a conversation about how to have these conversations. And next week's topic is respect and ways to show it.
Until then,
see you next week.
Adios.
Mm-hmm.